She said yes. To the contract, to the penthouse, to the man who'd bought her as collateral for her father's $400,000 debt. And Anna Gray, corporate attorney, survivor, observer of fatal flaws, realized she wasn't trapped anymore. She was partnered with Max Harper, the most dangerous man in the city. 3 months earlier, she would have called this a hostage situation. Now, she called it Tuesday. But here's what makes this story different. Anna didn't break under the pressure. She didn't run when she had the chance. She didn't even hate the man who claimed her like property. Instead, she did something far more dangerous. She found the fatal flaw in his empire, the crack in his armor, the one weakness he'd been hiding for 15 years. Max Harper was lonely, and when a woman smart enough to read contracts, brave enough to challenge power, and broken enough to understand him discovered that weakness, everything changed. This is what happened when a debt collector bought a corporate attorney as collateral, when observation turned to partnership, when the price of freedom became too cheap compared to the value of connection. She was traded like property. She became an equal. And the most dangerous part? She chose it. It started in a living room where her father cried, "I have no money." It ended in a penthouse where Anna realized being bought was the first time anyone had properly valued her. And everything in between? That's where the real story lives. "This is I have no money," father cried. "The Mafia Boss noticed me in the corner. She'll settle the debt." What happened next changed everything. 3 months earlier, the night it all began, the silence in the dilapidated living room was not empty. It was heavy, suffocating, and tasted of despair and impending ruin. For Max Harper, this was Tuesday, another debt collection, another desperate man. But when Paul Bell's voice cracked through the silence, "I have no money," the transaction became something else entirely. Max's eyes, dark and calculating, shifted from the broken father to the corner where Anna Gray stood, perfectly still, perfectly observing. His next words were delivered with the cold precision of a man closing a deal. "She'll settle the debt." In that moment, Anna's life became collateral, seized by the most dangerous man in the city, a price paid not just for her father's debt, but for Max's unknowing redemption. Anna Gray stood in the deepest shadows of the living room, observing the scene with the detached eye of a trained investigator. The air was thick with her father's cigarette smoke and the metallic taste of fear. It was a habit she'd picked up during her years in corporate law, the ability to stand back, study a contract, and find the fatal flaw, the clause that invalidated everything, the loophole that devalued the entire agreement. Tonight, the flaw was sitting on the stained sofa, wringing his hands until the knuckles turned white. Her father, Paul Bell. The front door had not been kicked in. There were no shouts, no breaking glass. Max Harper's arrival was far more terrifying than any dramatized mob scene. He had simply walked in. The deadbolt Anna had installed herself 3 months ago had yielded to his security team, as if it knew better than to resist. Now Max Harper sat across from her father in the reading chair, the only piece of furniture that wasn't falling apart, looking utterly out of place. His suit was charcoal gray, tailored to a precision that made the peeling wallpaper look even more pathetic. He didn't look like a thug. He looked like the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, except for the air around him. It was cold, pressurized, like standing too close to a blast furnace that had been turned off but still radiated danger. He had dark hair kept short and professional. His eyes were a shade of brown, so dark they absorbed the dim light rather than reflecting it. There were no scars, no broken nose, nothing to suggest he did the dirty work himself. That was what made him dangerous. He didn't have to. 2 men flanked the doorway, statues in expensive suits. They hadn't blinked since they entered. "Paul," Max said, his voice a low baritone, smooth and devoid of anger. It was the voice of a man discussing quarterly earnings, not a debt that could end a life. Her father made a sound that was half sob, half gasp. I know, Mr. Harper. Please, the investment. It was a sure thing. Just give me another week. 5 days. I can turn it around." Paul leaned forward, sweat beading on his forehead. "The property deal, it's still salvageable. I just need time to..." Max tapped his index finger once against the armrest. That was the only sign of irritation. "You've had 3 extensions, Paul. You've mortgaged your daughter's college fund to pay the interest on the principal you owe me. You're drowning. And I'm not a lifeguard." Anna shifted her weight slightly. The floorboard beneath her creaked, the same board she'd been meaning to fix for months. Max's head snapped toward her corner. It was a predatory movement, sharp and precise, like a falcon spotting prey. Anna held her breath. She had hoped to remain a ghost in this transaction, a silent witness to the inevitable collapse of her father's financial house of cards. She had her emergency bag packed upstairs. She had $3,000 in cash hidden in her car. She was ready to disappear the moment this meeting turned violent. But Max Harper saw her. He didn't look away. He scanned her from her worn sneakers to the oversized sweater she wore to keep warm in a house where the heating had been shut off 2 weeks ago. He didn't look at her with lust. He looked at her the way she looked at contracts at work, checking for value, durability, exploitable clauses. "Who is that?" Max asked, not taking his eyes off her. Her father turned, seeming to remember for the first time that she existed. That's just Anna. "My daughter. She lives here temporarily. She's a good girl, Mr. Harper. College educated. Works in corporate law." Paul's voice took on a frantic, desperate pitch. Anna saw the gears turning in his gambler's brain. He was looking for an angle, a lifeline, anything to stop the consequence he was sure was coming. Max looked back at Paul. "You owe me $400,000, Paul. You have no assets. This house is mortgaged to collapse. Your car was repossessed last month. Your credit cards are maxed. You have nothing. I have." Paul looked around wildly. His eyes landed on the television, then the laptop, then inevitably, catastrophically, they landed back on Anna. A cold pit opened in Anna's stomach. She knew that look. It was the same look he'd given her mother's jewelry before he pawned it, the look of a man who had stripped away every layer of morality to feed the beast of his addiction. "I have no money," Paul cried out, his voice cracking. He scrambled off the sofa, falling to his knees in a humiliating display. "I have no money, Mr. Harper. But look at her." He pointed a shaking finger at Anna. "Anna, she's young, smart, law degree from a top school. She can work, she can manage things, she can be whatever you need." Paul crawled closer to Max's immaculate shoes. "She'll settle the debt. Take her as collateral and wipe the slate clean. Please." The silence that followed was absolute. Anna didn't gasp, didn't scream, didn't cry out in protest. A strange, icy calm settled over her, the same calm she felt when reviewing a contract with fatal flaws. Perhaps she had always known it would end this way. Max Harper looked at her father with an expression that might have been disgust or calculation or both. Then his dark eyes returned to Anna, still frozen in her corner, and something in his gaze shifted. Assessment became decision. "She'll settle the debt," Max repeated, his voice carrying the finality of a signed contract. Not a question, a statement of terms. Anna's world tilted. The debt was settled. The price was her freedom. Max didn't give Anna time to process what had just happened. The moment her father's desperate offer left his lips, "She'll settle the debt," Max stood with the fluid efficiency of a man who'd just closed a merger. He buttoned his suit jacket with one hand while pulling his phone from his pocket with the other. "Cooper," he said into the phone, his eyes never leaving Anna's face. "Bring the car around. We're leaving in 3 minutes." He paused, listening. "Yes, pack a bag for the lady. Essentials only. 5 minutes in her room, no more." Anna's throat was too tight to speak. She watched Max cross the living room toward her father, who was still on his knees, still crying, still offering his daughter like she was a piece of furniture he could liquidate. Max crouched down until he was eye level with Paul Bell. When he spoke, his voice carried the particular quietness that preceded violence. "The debt is settled. $400,000, paid in full through the acquisition of your daughter as collateral for a period to be determined by me. You will sign documentation to that effect." Yes, of course," Paul babbled, relief flooding his face with color. "Whatever you need, Mr. Harper. Thank you. God, thank you. I'm not finished." Max's tone could have frozen nitrogen. "You will have no further contact with Anna. No calls, no letters, no attempts to see her or speak to her, or use her connection to me for any purpose whatsoever. If you approach her, if you try to leverage this situation, if you so much as walk past a building I own, the original debt reinstates with interest, compounding daily at 20%. Paul's face went white. "But she's my daughter. She's my collateral now," Max corrected. "And I protect my assets absolutely. Sign the papers my attorney delivers tomorrow, and you walk away from this with your life and your freedom. Refuse or violate the terms, and I'll have you prosecuted for fraud, embezzlement, and every other crime I can prove you've committed in the last decade. Am I clear?" Paul nodded frantically, but Max wasn't looking at him anymore. He was looking at Anna, still frozen in her corner, her analytical mind finally catching up to what was happening. She was being collected. Like a painting. Like a piece of collateral seized by a bank. Like property. One of Max's men appeared in the doorway, not Cooper. Someone else. Younger. With the build of a college athlete gone professional. "Sir, the lady's bag is packed. Clothes, toiletries, laptop, and phone is requested." "Good." Max straightened, adjusting his cuffs with the same precision he'd used to destroy her father's life. Then he crossed the room toward Anna, each step deliberate, predatory, certain. When he stopped in front of her, close enough that she could smell his cologne. Something expensive and clean that didn't belong in this deteriorating house. Anna finally found her voice. "I didn't agree to this." "You didn't have to," Max said simply. "Your father offered. I accepted. The transaction is complete. I'm not property. You can't just—" "I can." Max's dark eyes held hers without mercy or apology. "I can because your father gave me that right when he offered you as payment. I can because you're in my custody now. And the law won't help you argue against a debt settlement you didn't personally sign for but your legal guardian authorized." "He's not my legal guardian," Anna said, anger finally burning through shock. "I'm 26 years old. I'm an attorney. You can't. You're a junior associate at a mid-tier firm who lives with her father because his gambling debts destroyed your credit rating," Max interrupted, his voice still maddeningly calm. "You're smart enough to know that fighting this publicly would destroy what's left of your career and potentially expose you to criminal liability as an accessory to your father's fraud. So you're going to come with me quietly, because that's the move that preserves the most options for your future." Anna stared at him, hating that he was right, hating that he'd clearly researched her, assessed her situation, calculated her vulnerabilities before ever stepping foot in this house. Hating most of all that some part of her, the analytical part that had spent 3 years reviewing contracts and finding fatal flaws, recognized Max Harper as the first person in her life who actually saw her clearly. Not as Paul Bell's unfortunate daughter, not as the junior associate who got coffee, but as a variable he'd properly valued before acquiring. "I want my own attorney to review whatever I'm signing," Anna said finally. Something that might have been respect flickered in Max's eyes. "You're not signing anything tonight. Tonight, you're coming to my home where you'll be safe, fed, and given time to adjust to your new circumstances. Tomorrow, my attorney will walk you through the terms of your arrangement. You'll have 72 hours to review documentation before anything requires your signature. And if I refuse, then your father's debt reinstates and I pursue collection through traditional means," Max said. "Which involves taking everything he owns, including this house. Where will you live, Anna? How will you eat? Your credit cards are maxed. Your bank account has $300, and your firm pays you barely enough to cover student loans." Anna's jaw clenched. He knew everything, had calculated everything, had backed her into a corner where the only move that made sense was surrender. "Fine," she said, the word tasting like poison. "But I want it on record that I'm cooperating under duress." "Noted." Max gestured toward the door where Cooper waited with her packed bag. "Shall we?" Anna looked one last time at her father, still on his knees, still crying, still relieved that he'd found a way to save himself. She felt nothing. No love, no anger, no grief, just the cold clarity of a woman who'd been observing her father's fatal flaw for years and had always known it would eventually consume her too. She walked toward the door without saying goodbye. The car was exactly what she expected, a black SUV with tinted windows and leather seats that probably cost more than her annual salary. Cooper held the door open. Max slid in beside her, maintaining a careful distance, not touching, just present. As they pulled away from the house where Anna had spent 3 miserable years trying to save a father who didn't want to be saved, Max spoke again, his voice softer now, almost careful. "For what it's worth, you made the right choice. Your father would have destroyed you eventually. At least this way, you're under my protection." "I don't want your protection," Anna said, staring out the window at the city lights blurring past. "I want my freedom." "Then earn it," Max replied. "Prove you're worth more than $400,000, and we'll renegotiate terms." Anna turned to look at him, this man who'd just bought her like she was a corporate asset. "How do I prove that?" Max's smile was dark, calculating, and absolutely certain. "You'll figure it out. You're smart enough to find the fatal flaw in any contract. Let's see if you're smart enough to find the value in this one." The penthouse, when they arrived, was everything Anna expected, and nothing she wanted. Sterile, beautiful, empty of any warmth or personality. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, furniture that looked expensive but unused. Art on the walls that was probably worth more than her father's debt but felt lifeless, chosen by a decorator rather than someone who actually cared. Cooper showed her to a guest room, though calling it that felt wrong. It was a suite. Bedroom, bathroom, sitting area. Everything white and gray and cold. Mr. Harper requests you join him for breakfast at 8 a.m., Cooper said. Until then, you're free to move about the penthouse. The elevator requires a key card you don't have, so you can't leave. Any questions? Just one, Anna said. What happens if I refuse to play along with whatever game Max Harper is running? Cooper's expression didn't change. Then you find out why people don't refuse, Mr. Harper. Sleep well, Miss Gray. He left, closing the door with a soft click that sounded too much like a cell locking. Anna stood in the center of her gilded cage and began her analysis. The contract she'd just been forced into had a fatal flaw somewhere. Every contract did. She just had to find it before Max Harper figured out that she was far more dangerous as collateral than he'd calculated. Anna woke at 6 a.m. to the sound of silence. Not peaceful silence, the sterile, pressurized silence of a space designed to be soundproof. She'd barely slept, spending most of the night cataloging her new environment the way she'd catalog evidence in a case. The bedroom had no personal items. The closet held clothes in her exact size. Someone had clearly measured her yesterday while packing her bag. The bathroom was stocked with expensive toiletries, all unopened, all generic. The sitting area had a desk with a laptop, password protected. The windows didn't open. Every detail told her something about Max Harper. He was prepared. He planned ahead. He eliminated variables. But the absence of personal touches told her something more interesting. He didn't know what she liked, hadn't bothered to research her preferences, had treated her acquisition like a corporate buyout where you inherit the asset and figure out its value later. That was his first mistake. At 7:45 a.m., Anna dressed in the clothes that had been provided, black pants and a silk blouse that fit perfectly but felt like a uniform. She left her room, moving through the penthouse with the careful observation skills she'd honed in her corner last night. The main living area was massive, 30-foot ceilings, marble floors, art that Anna's trained eye recognized as legitimate Rothko and Pollock pieces worth millions. But like the guest room, everything felt sterile, chosen for value, not meaning. Max Harper was sitting at a dining table that could seat 12, reading something on a tablet, a cup of coffee beside him. He wore a white dress shirt, sleeves rolled to his elbows, no tie yet. He looked up when Anna entered, his dark eyes tracking her movement with the same predatory assessment as last night. "You're early," he said. "I appreciate punctuality. I appreciate understanding the terms of my imprisonment," Anna replied, sitting across from him without waiting for invitation. "Let's start with the basics. What exactly do you expect from me?" "Anna," Max set down his tablet with deliberate precision. "Direct." "Good. I expected you'd spend a few days being afraid before getting angry. You skipped straight to negotiation." "I'm not afraid of you," Anna lied. She was terrified. But fear was a weakness, and she'd learned long ago not to show weakness to predators. "Yes, you are," Max corrected. "But you're more angry than afraid, which means you're functional. That's useful." He gestured to the breakfast spread that Anna hadn't noticed: fruit, pastries, eggs, coffee. "Eat. We have a lot to discuss." "I'm not hungry." "Eat anyway, you're gonna need the energy." Anna reluctantly took a croissant, more to have something to do with her hands than because she wanted it. "You said I have 72 hours to review documentation. I want to start now." "Not until you understand the broader context," Max said. "You're thinking of this as a hostage situation. It's not. It's a contractual arrangement with specific terms and a defined end state. Being held against my will with no ability to leave is literally the definition of hostage," Anna countered. "You can leave," Max said calmly. "Right now. Cooper will drive you anywhere you want to go. Your father's debt reinstates. I pursue collection through legal means, and you return to your previous life." Anna studied him, looking for the lie, the manipulation, the trap. "Why would you let me go after going through the trouble of acquiring me?" "Because coerced compliance is worthless," Max replied. "I don't need a hostage, Anna. I need someone who chooses to be here, even if that choice is made from a limited set of options. So let's be clear about what those options actually are." He leaned back in his chair, his posture relaxed but his eyes sharp. "Option 1. You leave. Your father loses everything. You return to your junior associate position where you'll spend the next decade trying to rebuild a career while managing his ongoing financial disasters. You'll never escape his shadow, never accumulate enough capital to be independent, Never be more than the unfortunate daughter of a degenerate gambler. Anna's jaw clenched. He wasn't wrong. Option 2, Max continued. You stay. You fulfill the terms of our arrangement for a period of 18 months. During that time, you're under my protection, which means your father can't touch you. Creditors can't pursue you for his debts, and you have time to actually build something of your own. At the end of 18 months, if you've performed adequately, I pay you $200,000. Provide excellent references, and you walk away free to start over wherever you choose. Performed adequately, Anna repeated. Doing what, exactly? That's what we're negotiating, Max said. I acquired you as collateral, yes. But what I actually need is someone with your specific skill set, which is finding fatal flaws, Max said simply. You review contracts for a living. You find the exploitable clause, the weak point, the mistake that invalidates the entire agreement. I have contracts worth hundreds of millions of dollars that I need reviewed by someone with no loyalty to any party involved. Someone who has no reason to protect anyone's interests except their own. Anna stared at him. You want me to review your business contracts? Among other things, Max confirmed. You'll also manage certain administrative tasks, attend social functions as needed, and provide a visible presence that signals to my associates that I'm stable, settled, no longer a target for power plays. You want a fake girlfriend, Anna said flatly. I want a partner, Max corrected. Someone smart enough to keep up with my world, observant enough to catch threats I might miss, and motivated enough to actually care about outcomes because your freedom depends on performance. Anna processed this, her analytical mind clicking through implications. What you're describing is basically an executive assistant with benefits. I'm describing a position with real authority, Max countered. You'll have access to confidential information, approval power over certain contracts, and protection that extends beyond physical safety. I'll pay off your student loans, establish a trust that pays out at the end of 18 months, and provide housing and expenses during your tenure. And if I refuse, then you walk away right now, Max said. But you won't, because for the first time in your adult life, someone is offering you actual value, not charity, not pity, but compensation for skills you've been underutilizing in a firm that pays you barely enough to survive. Anna hated that he was right, hated that he'd calculated her worth more accurately than any employer ever had, hated that his cold, transactional offer was the first time anyone had actually seen what she could do instead of just seeing Paul Bell's unfortunate daughter. I want the terms in writing, Anna said finally. Every detail, every expectation, every limitation on your authority over me. And I want my own attorney to review it before I sign anything. Agreed, Max said immediately. I'll have my legal team prepare documentation today. You'll have 72 hours to review with counsel of your choice, paid for by me. Any terms you find unconscionable, we renegotiate. Any clause you can prove is exploitative, we remove. This is a contract, Anna, not a prison sentence. It feels like both, Anna admitted. Then prove me wrong, Max said. Find the fatal flaw. Show me where I'm exploiting you, because I guarantee there isn't one. This is the fairest transaction anyone's ever offered you, even if the circumstances that brought you here were anything but fair. Anna met his eyes. These dark, calculating eyes that had assessed her like a corporate acquisition and somehow seen her more clearly than anyone in her life. What do you actually want from me, Max? Be honest. What's the real transaction here? Max was quiet for a long moment. Then, I want someone in my life who isn't afraid to tell me when I'm wrong. Someone smart enough to catch my mistakes before they become disasters. Someone who will stay because the arrangement benefits them, not because they're afraid to leave. I'm offering you freedom, Anna. It just comes with an 18-month delay. Anna took a bite of the croissant she'd been holding. It tasted expensive and empty, like everything else in this penthouse. I'll review your documentation, but I'm not agreeing to anything until I've found every loophole, every exploitation, every way you could use this against me. I'd be disappointed if you didn't, Max said. His smile was sharp, predatory, almost approving. Welcome to your appraisal period, Miss Gray. Let's see what you're actually worth. For the next 3 days, Anna dissected Max Harper's life with the precision of a forensic accountant. The contract his legal team provided was 47 pages of detailed terms, drafted by attorneys who clearly knew their business. But it was the spaces between the legal language that interested Anna most, the small tells that revealed Max's actual priorities. He'd included a termination clause that heavily favored her. If she wanted to leave before 18 months, she could, with prorated compensation and all benefits intact. That wasn't standard in contracts like this. That was someone building in an exit ramp because they genuinely didn't want a hostage. He'd specified exact working hours, 40 per week, with overtime compensated at market rate for executive assistants. He'd included health insurance, retirement matching, even a clause about professional development if she wanted to pursue additional certifications. It read less like an indenture contract and more like an employment agreement, which made it more dangerous, because employment could be terminated. Employment had performance reviews. Employment had consequences for inadequate work. Anna sat at the desk in her room, legal pad covered in notes, when Max appeared in her doorway without knocking. She'd learned he did that, moved through his own space like he owned it, which he did, but the lack of courtesy still irritated her. "You've been in here for 6 hours, Max observed. "Have you eaten?" "I'm working," Anna said, not looking up from her notes. "You're obsessing," Max corrected. He entered her room uninvited, crossing to look at her legal pad covered in annotations. "What have you found?" Anna finally looked up. "Your contract is airtight, boringly so. No exploitative clauses, no unconscionable terms, compensation well above market rate. My attorney said it's the fairest employment agreement she's seen in 20 years. "You sound disappointed," Max said. "I'm suspicious," Anna corrected. "People don't offer fair deals unless they're hiding something. So what's the catch? What aren't you telling me?" Max pulled out the chair beside her desk, sitting close enough that Anna caught that expensive cologne again. Up close, she noticed details she'd missed before: faint scar along his jawline, the way his eyes weren't just brown, but had flecks of gold, the calluses on his hands that suggested he didn't just do desk work. "No catch," Max said. "But you're right that I'm not telling you everything. There are aspects of my business that are technically legal but ethically gray. There are associates I work with who've done illegal things, even if I haven't personally. There are situations where your legal background will be useful specifically because you'll see problems before they become disasters." "You want me to keep you on the right side of the law," Anna said, understanding clicking into place. "I want you to keep me from crossing lines I can't uncross," Max corrected. "I'm good at business, Anna. Excellent at it. But I'm not always good at seeing where business stops and crime starts. I need someone who can draw that line for me before I step over it." "That's what attorneys are for," Anna pointed out. "Attorneys work for me," Max said. "They tell me what I want to hear because I pay them to make problems disappear. You don't work for me yet. You're here because your father made a bad bet, which means you have no reason to protect me, no incentive to hide my mistakes. That makes you valuable in a way my regular counsel isn't." Anna studied him, looking for the manipulation, the angle. "You're saying you want me to be your moral compass." "I'm saying I want someone smart enough to tell me when I'm being an idiot," Max replied. "And you're the first person I've met in 5 years who isn't too afraid of me to do that." "I'm terrified of you," Anna said honestly. "But you're still arguing with me," Max countered. "Still reviewing my contract for flaws. Still treating this like a negotiation instead of a surrender. That's why you're here, Anna. Not because your father offered you. Because when I looked at you in that corner, observing everything, calculating every angle, I recognized something I haven't seen in any associate I employ." "What's that?" "Intelligence without loyalty," Max said. "You don't care about protecting me. You care about protecting yourself. Which means when you tell me a deal is clean, I can trust it actually is. When you tell me I'm about to make a mistake, I can trust you're not just trying to advance your own position." Anna processed this. "You're saying you trust me because I don't like you." "I'm saying I trust you because you have no reason to lie to me," Max corrected. "Everyone else in my world wants something from me. Money, power, protection, access. You just want to survive 18 months and get out. That clarity is worth more than loyalty." "You're very calculating," Anna observed. "You say that like it's an insult," Max replied. "We're both calculating, Anna. We're both observing, analyzing, looking for the angle. The difference is, I'm honest about it." Anna wanted to argue, but he wasn't wrong. She'd spent 3 days dissecting his contract not to find flaws, but to understand him. Every clause told her something. He valued fairness, feared disloyalty, built in protections for people who couldn't protect themselves. His contract was revealing in ways he probably didn't intend. "I found something interesting in Clause 14, Anna said, changing the subject. "The social appearance clause," Max confirmed. "What about it?" "It specifies I attend functions as needed to maintain appearance of stable domestic partnership," Anna quoted. "But it doesn't specify physical affection requirements, doesn't mandate public displays, doesn't even require I pretend to like you," That's unusual. Most contracts like this would specify exact behaviors. I don't want a performance, Max said. I want someone who can stand next to me at a gallery opening and look like they belong there. Whether you smile at me or ignore me is your choice. I'm not paying you to fake emotions. That's surprisingly principled for someone who just bought a human being as debt collateral, Anna said, the words sharper than she intended. Max's expression didn't change. Your father offered. I accepted. If you want to be angry about the transaction, be angry at him. I'm just the person who saw an opportunity to acquire something valuable. I'm not a thing, Anna said. No, Max agreed. You're a highly intelligent woman with specialized skills who is being wasted in a junior associate position while your father destroyed your financial future. I didn't create your situation, Anna. I just offered you a way out of it. By buying me. By employing you, Max corrected. The circumstances were unusual, yes, but the contract is standard employment. You can quit any time. You just lose the benefits if you quit early. That's not freedom, Anna argued. That's every employment contract ever written, Max countered. You're mad at me because I'm honest about the transaction. Your old firm paid you barely enough to survive, demanded 60-hour weeks, and would fire you without notice if partnership decided you weren't profitable enough. But they called it employment, so it felt legitimate. I'm offering you double the salary, half the hours, and total transparency about expectations. The only difference is I'm not pretending this is anything other than a mutually beneficial transaction. Anna hated that he was right, hated that his cold, calculated honesty was more fair than anything her previous employer had offered, hated most of all that some part of her, the part that had been observing her father's fatal flaw for years, recognized Max Harper as someone who actually valued her properly. I'll sign your contract, Anna said finally, on one condition. Name it. You stop treating me like an acquisition, Anna said. I'm not collateral. I'm not property. I'm not something you bought. I'm an employee with specific skills who's entering a contractual arrangement. Treat me accordingly. Max studied her for a long moment. Then he extended his hand across the desk. Deal. You're hired, Miss Gray. Welcome to the team. Anna shook his hand, noting the calluses again. The strength in his grip. The way he didn't hold on too long or try to assert dominance. It was a business handshake. Professional and appropriate. Maybe Max Harper was exactly what he claimed to be. A calculating businessman who'd seen an opportunity and taken it. Maybe there was no hidden agenda, no secret exploitation, no fatal flaw, or maybe Anna just hadn't found it yet. Either way, she was committed now. 18 months working for the most dangerous man she'd ever met, finding the flaws in his contracts before he made mistakes that could destroy them both. It should have felt like a prison sentence. Instead, it felt like the first time anyone had actually challenged her to be more than Paul Bell's unfortunate daughter. And that was more dangerous than any contract Max Harper could have written. 6 weeks into her employment, Anna realized the fatal flaw in Max Harper's life wasn't in his contracts. It was in him. He was lonely. Not in the obvious way. Max had dozens of associates, business partners, people who orbited him constantly. But Anna, who'd spent 6 weeks observing him with the trained eye of someone looking for exploitable weaknesses, saw what everyone else missed. Max Harper had built an empire of transactions, but he had no actual relationships. Every person in his life wanted something from him. Every interaction was calculated. Every conversation had an agenda. And somewhere beneath that controlled exterior was a man who'd forgotten what it felt like to be valued for something other than his utility. Anna discovered this on a Thursday night, when she found Max alone in his study at 2 a.m., reviewing contracts that didn't need reviewing, drinking scotch that wasn't helping, looking like a man who'd built everything he wanted and realized it wasn't enough. She should have gone back to her room, should have maintained professional distance, should have remembered that observing wasn't the same as caring. Instead, she knocked on the open door. Max looked up, surprise flickering across his face before the mask of control slid back into place. Anna, did you need something? You're drinking alone at 2 a.m., Anna said. That suggests either a problem with the Richards contract or a personal crisis. Since I reviewed Richards yesterday and it's clean, I'm guessing personal. I'm fine, Max said automatically. You're a terrible liar, Anna replied, entering the study without invitation. Which is interesting given that your entire business model requires deception. I don't lie, Max corrected. I omit. There's a difference. Not really, Anna said. She sat in the chair across from his desk, the same position she'd occupied dozens of times over the past 6 weeks during working hours. But at 2 a.m., with Max's tie loosened and his defenses down, it felt different, more intimate, dangerous in a way that had nothing to do with contracts. "You should be asleep," Max said. "You should be too," Anna countered. "But here we are. So what's keeping you up? Guilty conscience? Fear of mortality? Realization that money can't buy happiness?" Max's lips twitched, almost a smile. "You're very direct at 2 a.m. "I'm direct at all times," Anna replied. "You just usually don't notice, because you're too busy being controlled and calculating. But right now, you look human. It's unsettling." "Unsettling," Max repeated. He took a drink of his scotch, studying her over the rim of the glass. "Is that your professional assessment?" "That's my observation," Anna said. "You're lonely, Max. You've built this empire of transactions, surrounded yourself with people who need you but don't know you, and now you're realizing that success without connection is just expensive isolation." The silence that followed was heavy. Max set down his glass with deliberate precision. "That's quite a psychological analysis from someone who's been here 6 weeks. "I'm observant," Anna said. "It's literally what you hired me for. Finding the flaw, remember? And you think my flaw is loneliness. I think your flaw is that you've confused transaction with relationship," Anna corrected. "Everyone in your life is here because of what you can do for them. Nobody's here because of who you are. That's not loneliness, Max. That's isolation you've actively constructed." "And what would you suggest I do about it?" Max asked, his tone carrying an edge that might have been anger or might have been genuine curiosity. "Stop treating everything like a contract," Anna said. "Not every interaction needs terms. Not every relationship needs defined expectations. Sometimes people just connect. Without transaction, without agenda." "That sounds horrifyingly inefficient," Max observed. "It's called friendship," Anna replied. "Maybe you've heard of it." "I have associates," Max said. "You have employees," Anna corrected. "There's a difference." Max was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Why are you here, Anna?" "Really here?" "In my study at 2 a.m., psychoanalyzing me instead of sleeping." Anna considered the question carefully. Why was she here? She should hate Max Harper, should resent being forced into this situation, should be counting down days until her 18 months were up and she could escape. Instead, she found herself interested. This calculating, controlled man who'd seen her value when everyone else saw her as Paul Bell's burden. This cold businessman who'd written the fairest contract she'd ever reviewed. This lonely empire builder who didn't know how to have a conversation without calculating the outcome. "Because I'm bored," Anna said finally. "And you're the first interesting problem I've had in years." "I'm a problem," Max repeated. "You're a puzzle," Anna clarified. "A complicated, frustrating, occasionally infuriating puzzle. And I'm good at solving puzzles. Should I be concerned that you're trying to solve me?" "Probably," Anna admitted. "I'm very persistent." Max's smile was genuine this time, reaching his eyes. "I've noticed. You've reorganized my entire contract review system, identified 3 exploitable clauses in deals my attorneys missed, and somehow convinced my chef that you need your own kitchen access for midnight tea." "Your chef needed someone to appreciate his skills," Anna said. "Your attorneys needed oversight. Your contract system needed efficiency. I saw problems and fixed them." "Without asking permission," Max pointed out. "You hired me to find flaws," Anna reminded him. "You didn't specify I needed approval before fixing them." "Most employees would ask first," Max said. "I'm not most employees," Anna replied. "I'm the woman you acquired as debt collateral and then gave surprising amounts of authority. That comes with certain expectations about initiative." Max studied her for a long moment. Then he poured a second glass of scotch, sliding it across the desk toward her. "You're right. About? I'm lonely," Max said. "I've built everything I wanted, and it's not enough. I'm sitting here at 2 a.m. reviewing clean contracts because the alternative is admitting that success without someone to share it with is just expensive emptiness." Anna took the scotch, surprised by his honesty. "That's quite an admission from someone who does everything through transaction." "You're not a transaction anymore," Max said quietly. "You stopped being collateral around week 3 when you told me the West Side deal was legally clean but ethically questionable and probably not worth the reputational risk. Nobody talks to me like that. Nobody tells me I'm wrong. Nobody treats you like a human being instead of a walking bank account," Anna finished. "Yes," Max agreed. "And that's clarifying." Anna took a drink of the scotch. It was expensive, smooth, probably cost more than her old monthly rent. What do you actually want, Max? Not what you tell yourself you want. What do you actually need? Max was quiet for so long Anna thought he wasn't going to answer. Then, I want what I can't buy. I want someone who's here because they choose to be, not because I'm paying them. I want conversations that aren't negotiations. He stopped, jaw clenching. I want to stop feeling like I'm playing a game I've already won, but somehow lost anyway. That's surprisingly poetic for 2 a.m., Anna observed. That's surprisingly honest for me at any time, Max countered. Anna set down her glass. I'm going to say something, and you're going to hate it. I'm braced. You need a partner, Anna said. Not an employee, not an associate, not someone working for you. An actual partner who has their own authority, their own agenda, their own life that intersects with yours without being consumed by it. I have you, Max pointed out. You have me for 12 more months, Anna corrected. And I'm here because of a contract, not because I chose you. That's not partnership, Max. That's just employment with unusual origin story. What if I didn't want you to leave after 18 months? Max asked quietly. The question hung in the air between them, weighted with implications Anna wasn't ready to process. Then you'd be changing the terms of our arrangement without negotiation. That's called breach of contract. What if I'm offering to renegotiate? Then I'd ask what you're actually offering, Anna said carefully. Max stood, moving around the desk with that predatory grace she'd learned to recognize. He didn't crowd her, didn't touch her, just stood close enough that Anna had to look up to meet his eyes. I'm offering partnership, Max said. Real partnership, not employment, not transaction, not temporary arrangement. A life here, with me, where you have actual authority and actual choice and actual safety. Where your future isn't tied to counting down 18 months but to building something permanent. That sounds like a relationship, Anna said. It is a relationship, Max confirmed. One where I stop treating everything like a contract and you stop treating me like a problem to solve. One where we're both choosing each other instead of being forced together by circumstance. Anna's heart was hammering. That's a significant change from the original terms. Consider it a concession, Max said. You've proved your value. You've shown me that intelligence and honesty are worth more than loyalty. You've made me realize that what I actually need isn't an employee. It's you. Specifically you. Staying not because a contract requires it, but because you want to. I don't know what I want, Anna admitted. Then figure it out, Max said. Take your time. The original contract stands you can leave in 12 months with full compensation and references. But if you stay, it won't be as my employee. It'll be as my partner, in every sense that matters. That's a significant decision to make at 2 a.m., Anna said. Then don't make it now, Max replied. But think about it. Think about whether the life I'm offering is worth more than the freedom you're counting toward. Anna stood, needing space, needing distance from this dangerous conversation that was veering into territory she hadn't prepared for. I should go. You should sleep. We can discuss this when we're both rational. I'm always rational, Max said. You're always controlled, Anna corrected. There's a difference. She left his study quickly, her mind racing. Max Harper had just offered her everything she'd thought she wanted: authority, partnership, permanent security wrapped in a relationship she hadn't seen coming. And the truly dangerous part was that some part of her, the part that had spent 6 weeks observing him, studying him, learning to read his micro-expressions and anticipate his needs, wanted to say yes. Not because the contract required it. Because she was starting to understand that Max Harper's fatal flaw wasn't loneliness. It was that he'd never found anyone worth being vulnerable with, until now. Anna had been working in Max's study for 3 hours, reviewing the quarterly reports his CFO had submitted, when Cooper appeared in the doorway with an expression that made her stomach drop. Miss Gray, Cooper said, his tone carefully neutral. You have a visitor. Your father is in the lobby requesting to see you. Anna's pen stopped mid-notation. My father? Yes, ma'am. Security is currently preventing his access. But he's becoming vocal. Mr. Harper is en route from his meeting downtown and has requested you remain here until he arrives. Tell my father I'm not available, Anna said, returning to her work with hands that had started shaking. Tell him I have no interest in speaking with him and he should leave. I've conveyed that message, Cooper said. He claims he has information you need to hear regarding your current living arrangement. He's threatening to contact authorities about your circumstances. Anna's blood went cold. He's threatening to report Max for trafficking. Those were his implications, yes. Anna stood, anger burning through the fear that had been her constant companion since Paul Bell had offered her his payment. "Where's the lobby?" "Miss Gray," Mr. Harper specifically instructed. "Where is he, Cooper?" Cooper studied her for a moment, then sighed. "Ground floor, but I'm accompanying you, and if he becomes aggressive, you're leaving immediately." Anna followed Cooper to the elevator, her mind racing through implications. Paul Bell had signed documents promising no contact, had accepted terms that explicitly prevented him from exploiting Anna's connection to Max. The fact that he was here, making threats, meant he'd found an angle he thought he could leverage. That was Paul Bell's fatal flaw. He always thought he could find the angle. The lobby was elegant, all marble and glass and expensive art. Paul Bell looked exactly as out of place as Anna had looked in Max's penthouse 6 weeks ago. Worn jeans, stained jacket, the desperate energy of a man who'd been chasing his next fix gambling. This time, not drugs, but the addiction was the same. "Anna." Paul's face flooded with relief when he saw her. "Thank God. I've been trying to call, but your phone is disconnected. I've been worried sick." "You signed a contract promising no contact," Anna interrupted, staying 10 feet away with Cooper flanking her. "What are you doing here?" "I needed to see you," Paul said, his voice taking on that wheedling tone she remembered from childhood. From every time he'd promised to stop gambling, stop drinking, stop destroying everything they had. "I needed to make sure you're okay, that you're not being hurt." "I'm fine," Anna said coldly. "Leave." "Anna, please. I'm your father. I have rights." "You have no rights," Anna said, her voice sharp enough to cut. "You sold those rights when you offered me as payment for your debt. You signed documents waiving any claim to contact or custody. You promised to stay away. So I'll ask once more. What are you doing here?" Paul's expression shifted, desperation giving way to calculation. "I've been talking to a lawyer. About your situation. About how you're being held against your will by a criminal organization. About how you were coerced into signing contracts under duress." "I wasn't coerced," Anna said. "I reviewed every document with my own attorney. I signed voluntarily." "You were threatened," Paul countered. "Your freedom was contingent on my debt. And if you come with me now, if you testify that Harper forced you into this arrangement, we can—" "We," Anna repeated. "Who's we, Dad?" Paul's face flushed. "Nobody's paying me. I'm trying to save my daughter from—" "From what?" Anna demanded. "From having her student loans paid off? From living in safety without creditors calling every day? From working a job that actually values her skills? Tell me, Dad, what exactly are you saving me from?" "From him," Paul said, pointing toward the elevator where Max Harper had just appeared, moving through the lobby with that cold, controlled precision that made everyone step back instinctively. Max's expression was ice when he reached Anna's side. He didn't touch her, didn't crowd her, just positioned himself between her and Paul with body language that screamed protection. "Mr. Bell," Max said, his voice carrying the particular quietness that preceded violence. "You're in breach of contract. The documents you signed explicitly prohibit contact with Anna. I could have you arrested right now." "Try it," Paul said, his desperation making him stupid. "Try it and I'll go to every news outlet in the city. I'll tell them about how you traffic in human beings, how you buy people as debt collateral, how you're holding my daughter prisoner." "I'm not your daughter anymore," Anna interrupted, her voice loud enough that several people in the lobby turned to stare. "You stopped being my father when you offered me as payment. When you cried about having no money and pointed at me like I was furniture you could liquidate. When you saved yourself by destroying me." "Anna." "No," Anna said, stepping forward past Max's protective position. "You don't get to do this. You don't get to pretend you care. You don't get to manufacture concern now that you've found someone willing to pay you for testimony against Max. Because that's what this is, isn't it? Someone approached you. Someone who wants to hurt Max saw that I was his weakness, and they're using you to create a scandal." Paul's expression confirmed what Anna had already known. Someone had paid him to come here. Someone had calculated that a father claiming coercion would create the exact kind of public relations disaster that could damage Max's reputation and business. "Who paid you?" Max asked, his voice still dangerously quiet. "Give me a name and I'll make this quick." "You're threatening me," Paul said, pulling out his phone. "I'm recording this. You just threatened me in front of witnesses." "He didn't threaten you," Anna said. "He asked a question. I'm the one threatening you. If you don't leave right now, if you don't honor the contract you signed, if you don't disappear from my life permanently, I'll make sure every gambling debt you've ever avoided catches up with you at once. I'll contact every bookie, every loan shark, every person you've stolen from, and I'll give them your current address and employment status. Is that clear enough? Paul stared at her like he was seeing her for the first time. You've changed. He's changed you. You used to be sweet, caring. I used to be your victim, Anna corrected. I used to enable your destruction because I thought it was my job to save you. But I'm done saving you, Dad. I'm done being your contingency plan. I'm done watching you destroy everything while expecting me to clean up the mess. She pulled out her phone, pulling up contacts. Cooper, please escort Mr. Bell from the building. If he returns, call the police and have him arrested for trespassing and violation of contract terms. Dad, if you contact me again, if you make any more threats against Max, if you so much as mention my name in public, I'll personally ensure that every debt you owe comes due immediately, with interest you can't possibly pay. Paul looked at Max, then back at Anna. You're really choosing him, this criminal? I'm choosing myself, Anna replied. For the first time in my life, I'm choosing what I want, instead of cleaning up what you've destroyed. And what I want is for you to leave and never come back. Paul's expression crumbled. For a moment, Anna saw the father she'd loved before gambling consumed him, the man who'd taught her to read, who'd been proud of her law school acceptance, who'd promised to be better. Then the mask slipped back on and he was just Paul Bell again, desperate, calculating, looking for the next angle. You'll regret this, Paul said. I regret 26 years of trying to save you, Anna replied. This is the first decision I've made that I won't regret. Cooper stepped forward, his presence enough to make Paul step back. Sir, it's time to leave. Paul left, escorted by Cooper and 2 security guards, his threats echoing in the marble lobby. When he was gone, Anna realized she was shaking. Max's hand found her back, steady and warm. Are you okay? No, Anna admitted. But I will be. We need to discuss who paid him, Max said. Someone's making a play against me, using you. That means they see me as your weakness, Anna finished. Which means I'm actually your partner now, not just your employee. Because employees don't inspire targeted attacks. Max's expression softened. For what it's worth, you handled that perfectly. Better than I would have. You would have broken his arm, Anna said. I would have broken several things, Max agreed. But you destroyed him without violence. That's more effective. Anna leaned into Max's touch, just for a moment, needing the stability. My father's fatal flaw is that he thinks everyone has a price. He can't conceive of someone choosing principle over profit. What's your fatal flaw? Max asked quietly. Anna turned to look at him. This dangerous man who'd bought her as collateral and somehow given her more freedom than she'd ever had. I think I'm starting to believe that you might not have one. Everyone has flaws, Max said. Then I haven't found yours yet, Anna replied. But I'm still looking. Max's smile was dark, approving. I'd be disappointed if you stopped. They rode the elevator back to the penthouse in silence. When they reached Max's study, he poured them both scotch without asking a ritual that had become familiar over the past weeks. Someone paid your father to create a scandal, Max said, handing Anna her glass. That means someone's watching us. Studying our relationship, looking for exploitable angles. Sounds familiar, Anna observed. That's what I've been doing to you for 6 weeks. The difference is you're looking for flaws to protect me, Max replied. They're looking for flaws to destroy me. How do you know I'm protecting you? Anna asked. Because you just chose me over your father, Max said. Because when offered a chance to escape, to create a scandal that would free you immediately, you chose to defend me instead. That's not the action of someone looking for an exit. Anna took a drink of her scotch, processing the implications. He was right. She'd had a perfect opportunity to expose Max, to claim coercion, to walk away free. Instead, she'd destroyed her father's credibility and reinforced her partnership with Max. When had that shift happened? When had defending Max become more important than escaping him? I need to know who approached Paul, Anna said, changing the subject. If someone's targeting you through me, I need to understand their angle. Agreed, Max said. Cooper's already running traces on Paul's recent contacts and financial transactions. We'll know by tomorrow who's behind this. And then what? Anna asked. Max's smile was cold, calculated, absolutely certain. Then we remind them why it's a bad idea to threaten what's mine. Anna should have corrected him, should have reminded him that she wasn't his, wasn't property, wasn't something he owned. Instead, She found herself thinking that maybe, just maybe, being claimed by Max Harper was the safest she'd ever been, and that was more terrifying than any threat her father could make. The contract arrived on Anna's desk 3 days after the incident with her father. Not the employment contract she'd signed 6 weeks ago, but something new. Something that made her heart hammer when she saw the title. Exclusivity Partnership Agreement. Anna stared at the manila folder for a full minute before opening it. Inside were 43 pages of legal documentation, drafted with the same meticulous precision as her employment contract, but the terms were completely different. This wasn't employment. This was partnership, real partnership, with authority and equity in terms that made Anna's breath catch. Max appeared in her doorway as if summoned by her racing thoughts. "You found it. What is this?" Anna asked, holding up the folder. "Exactly what it says," Max replied, entering her office and closing the door behind him. "A partnership agreement. 18 months was arbitrary. This proposes something permanent." Anna flipped through the pages, her trained eye catching terms that made her pulse spike. "You're offering me equity in your holdings. 20%. 30% by year 5, Max corrected. "With full voting rights and independent legal authority. You'd have real power, Anna, not just advisory capacity." "Why?" Anna asked, meeting his eyes. "Because the last 3 days made something very clear," Max said. "You're not collateral anymore. You're not even just an employee. You're the partner I didn't know I needed, and I'm offering you the opportunity to make that official." Anna read clause after clause, each one more revealing than the last. Joint decision-making on major contracts, independent operating budget, authority to terminate business relationships Max had built over decades. This wasn't a contract designed to bind her, it was a contract designed to empower her. Clause 17, Anna said. "You're proposing shared living arrangements. That's complicated," Max finished. "Yes, but necessary. Partnership at this level requires trust that can only be built through proximity. I'm not asking you to share my bed, Anna. I'm asking you to share my life." "That's essentially asking me to marry you without the legal paperwork," Anna observed. "It's asking you to commit to building something permanent," Max corrected. "The rest, whatever develops between us personally, that's separate from the business partnership." Anna set down the contract, her analytical mind spinning through implications. "You're giving me everything I could possibly want. Authority, equity, independence, security. Why?" "Because you earned it," Max said simply. "Because you're the first person I've met who's smart enough to keep up with me, honest enough to challenge me, and strong enough to stand beside me instead of behind me." Because he stopped, jaw clenching. "Because I'm tired of being alone, and you're the only person I've met who makes me feel less isolated." "That's not a business reason," Anna said quietly. "No," Max agreed. "It's not. But I'm done pretending this is just business, Anna. I'm done calculating every interaction and quantifying every relationship. I'm offering you partnership because I want you in my life, permanently, as my equal." Anna stood, needing to move, needing space to process what Max was actually proposing. "This contract changes everything." "That's the point," Max said. "What if I sign it and then realize I made a mistake?" Anna asked. "What if we're incompatible as partners? What if—" "Then we renegotiate," Max interrupted. "Like any partnership. We adjust terms, we find new balance, we figure it out. But we do it together, as equals, not as employer and employee." Anna turned to face him. "What do you actually want from me, Max? Beyond the business partnership, beyond the shared living arrangements, beyond the equity and authority, what do you want?" Max was quiet for a long moment. Then, "I want someone who chooses to stay. Not because a contract requires it, not because they're being paid, not because they're afraid to leave. I want you, Anna. Specifically you. Staying because you want to, because this life we're building together is worth more than any freedom you'd have alone." "That's asking a lot," Anna said. "I know," Max replied. "That's why I'm giving you time to decide. Review the contract, find the flaws, identify the exploitations. Take as long as you need, but know that if you sign it, if you commit to this partnership, I'm all in, completely, permanently. No contingencies." Anna looked at the contract on her desk, these 43 pages that represented everything she'd thought she wanted: power, authority, security, independence wrapped in a relationship she hadn't expected to develop. "I need to ask you something," Anna said, "and I need you to be completely honest." "Always," Max said. "Do you love me?" Anna asked. Or do you just not want to be alone? The question hung in the air between them, weighted with implications that could shatter the careful balance they'd built. Max moved closer, not touching her but close enough that Anna could feel the heat of him. I don't know if I love you. I don't know if I'm capable of love in the way most people understand it, but I know that you're the first person I think about when I wake up. I know that your opinion is the only one that matters to me. I know that when I imagine my future, you're in it. If that's love, then yes. If it's something else, something more calculated, more transactional, then that's what I'm offering. Take it or leave it. Anna's throat was tight. That's not very romantic. I'm not romantic, Max agreed. I'm honest. And honestly, I want you in my life more than I've wanted anything in 10 years. Is that enough? Anna didn't answer. Instead, she picked up the contract and sat back at her desk. Give me 72 hours. Same as before. I want to review this with my attorney. Agreed, Max said. He moved toward the door, then paused. Anna? Yes? Your father asked if you were choosing me. You said you were choosing yourself. But I need you to know if you sign this contract, you're choosing us. Both of us. Together. Building something that requires both partners to work. Is that something you actually want? Anna met his eyes. These dark, calculating eyes that had seen her value when everyone else saw her as a burden. I don't know yet. Ask me in 72 hours. Max nodded and left, closing the door behind him with a soft click that sounded too much like possibility. Anna opened the contract and began her analysis. 43 pages of terms that would bind her to Max Harper not as employee or collateral, but as partner, as equal, as someone choosing to build a life with him instead of constantly planning escape routes. The fatal flaw would be there somewhere. It always was. Every contract had an exploitable clause, a weak point, a mistake that invalidated the entire agreement. Anna just had to find it before she made the biggest decision of her life. Or admit that maybe, just maybe, Max Harper had written a contract with no fatal flaws because he actually wanted a partnership that was fair. And if that was true, if he'd offered her everything with nothing hidden, then Anna had to decide if she was brave enough to accept it. 72 hours to review a contract that would determine the rest of her life. Anna picked up her red pen and began marking the pages, looking for the flaw she desperately hoped she wouldn't find. Anna spent 71 hours reviewing the contract. Not 72, she finished an hour early because somewhere around hour 68, she realized she wasn't looking for flaws anymore. She was looking for reasons to say no, and she couldn't find any. The contract was perfect. Painfully, meticulously, almost insultingly perfect. Every clause favored her. Every term protected her interests. Every provision gave her power that Max didn't have to give. Her attorney had called it the most equitable partnership agreement I've ever seen, bordering on generous to the point of concern. That was the problem. Max Harper had given her everything: authority, equity, independence, security, and asked for only one thing in return: that she choose him, that she commit, that she stop calculating exit strategies and start building something permanent. It should have been an easy decision. It was everything she'd ever wanted, except it required trust. Complete, absolute, terrifying trust in a man she'd known for less than 3 months. Trust that he wouldn't change the terms once she signed. Trust that his need for partnership was genuine and not some elaborate manipulation. Trust that choosing him wouldn't eventually destroy her the way choosing her father had destroyed her mother. Anna sat in her office at 11 p.m. on the third night, the signed contract in front of her, her pen hovering over the signature line. One signature and her life changed permanently. One signature and she stopped being Anna Gray, survivor, and became Anna Gray, partner to the most dangerous man in the city. One signature and she admitted that somewhere in the past 3 months, she'd stopped looking for ways to escape Max Harper and started looking for reasons to stay. The knock on her door was soft. Max entered without waiting for permission, carrying 2 glasses of scotch like he'd known she'd still be awake, still be struggling, still be afraid. It's been 71 hours, Max said, handing her a glass. You have 1 hour left. I know, Anna said. Have you found the fatal flaw? Max asked, settling into the chair across from her desk, their positions reversed from that first breakfast, from all those late-night conversations, from every moment they'd been building toward this decision. No, Anna admitted. The contract is perfect, which makes it more terrifying. Why? Max asked. Because perfect contracts don't exist, Anna said. Because everyone has an angle, everyone wants something, everyone's hiding some exploitation, except you. You've given me everything and asked for nothing except that I choose you, and I don't understand why. I told you why, Max said. I want a partner. I want you. But why me? Anna pressed. Why not someone already in your world? Someone who understands the business, who has connections you could leverage, who brings something valuable beyond just being you, Max interrupted. Anna, you're the most valuable asset I've ever acquired, and it has nothing to do with business connections or industry experience. You're valuable because you're honest, because you challenge me, because you don't need me, which makes your choice to stay meaningful in a way nothing else could be. I do need you, Anna said quietly. That's the problem. I need the security you offer, the protection from my father, the career opportunities, No, Max interrupted again. You want those things. You don't need them. You're smart enough, capable enough, talented enough to build all of that yourself. It would take longer, be harder, require more sacrifice, but you could do it. The fact that you're considering accepting my offer instead of walking away and building your own empire, that's not need, that's choice. Anna took a drink of her scotch, processing his words. He was right. She could walk away right now, could take her skills, her law degree, her 3 months of experience reviewing multi-million-dollar contracts and build something of her own. It would take years, would require sacrifice, but she could do it. She was choosing to stay, choosing Max, choosing this partnership not because she needed it, but because, I'm afraid, Anna admitted. I'm afraid that if I sign this, if I commit completely, I'll lose the part of myself that knows how to survive alone. I'll become dependent on you, on this life, on this partnership, and then if it falls apart, you'll survive, Max said with absolute certainty. You'll survive because that's what you do, Anna. You survived your father's destruction. You survived being offered as collateral. You survived being forced into a stranger's life. You'll survive this partnership ending, if it ever does. But you know what you won't survive? What? Regret, Max said. Regret that you let fear make your decisions. Regret that you had a chance to build something extraordinary and walked away because you couldn't trust it. Regret that you spent your whole life calculating exit strategies instead of committing to something that might actually make you happy. Happiness isn't guaranteed, Anna said. Nothing is guaranteed, Max countered. But misery through safety is still misery. I'm offering you risk, Anna. I'm offering you the possibility of building something that might fail but might also be the best decision you've ever made. And yes, it requires trust. Yes, it requires vulnerability. Yes, it means giving up some of the control that's kept you safe your entire life. But the alternative is spending the next 40 years wondering what would have happened if you'd been brave enough to try. Anna stared at the contract, at her signature line still blank, at the decision that would determine everything. What if I sign this and then realize I made a mistake? What if we're incompatible as partners? What if you become someone I don't recognize? Then we renegotiate, Max said. Like any partnership. But Anna, I need you to understand something. This contract, these terms, this offer, it's not going to be available forever. I'm offering you partnership now because you've earned it. Because I want you. Because I'm willing to be vulnerable in a way I've never been with anyone. But if you walk away, if you choose fear over possibility, I'm not going to wait around hoping you change your mind. I'm going to move on. Find someone else. Build a different life. And you're going to spend the rest of your existence wondering if you made the right choice. That's manipulative, Anna said. That's honest, Max corrected. I'm not going to pine for you, Anna. I'm not going to hold this offer open indefinitely while you calculate every possible outcome. I'm giving you 72 hours to make a decision, and then I'm moving forward with my life. With or without you. Anna's heart was hammering. You're giving me an ultimatum. I'm giving you a choice, Max said, with a deadline. Like every important decision in life, you can analyze it forever, looking for the perfect answer that doesn't exist. Or you can trust your instincts, sign the contract, and commit to building something that might actually be worth the risk. My instincts have been wrong before, Anna said. When? Max challenged. My father. You were a child, Max interrupted. You didn't choose your father, you were born to him. You didn't choose his addiction, you survived it. Your instincts about him were probably right from the beginning, you just couldn't act on them until you had the resources to escape. But me? You've had 3 months to observe me, analyze me, study every aspect of my life. What do your instincts say about me? Anna was quiet, turning his question over in her mind. What did her instincts say? That Max Harper was dangerous, that he was calculating, that he was the kind of man who always got what he wanted through strategy and force of will. but also that he was honest, that he was fair, that he valued her intelligence and challenged her in ways no one else ever had, that he was lonely and didn't know how to ask for connection without framing it as transaction. That beneath the controlled exterior was a man who wanted exactly what she wanted: partnership that was real, chosen, permanent. My instincts say you're telling the truth, Anna admitted. That this offer is genuine, that you actually want a partner, not a possession, that you'd rather have me choose you freely than force me to stay through manipulation. And? Max prompted. And I'm still afraid, Anna said. Because trusting someone completely is the scariest thing I've ever done. More scary than being offered as debt collateral? Max asked. Yes, Anna said. Because that was survival. This is choice, and choice means responsibility. If I sign this contract, if I commit to you, if this partnership fails, I can't blame it on circumstance or coercion or bad luck. It's my decision, my responsibility. My failure if it doesn't work. Max stood, moving around the desk with that predatory grace that no longer frightened her, that somewhere along the way had become familiar, even comforting. He crouched beside her chair, bringing himself to eye level. Anna, he said quietly, I can't promise this will work. I can't promise we won't fight, won't disagree, won't have moments where partnership feels impossible, but I can promise that I will never lie to you, never manipulate you, never treat you as less than an equal. And I can promise that if you sign this contract, if you commit to me, I will spend every day proving that your trust wasn't misplaced. That's not a guarantee, Anna said. It's better than a guarantee, Max replied. It's a commitment, from someone who doesn't make commitments lightly. Anna looked at this man who'd bought her as collateral and somehow given her more freedom than she'd ever known. This calculating businessman who'd written the fairest contract she'd ever reviewed. This lonely empire builder who was offering her everything and asking only that she choose him. Her hand was shaking when she picked up the pen. If I sign this, Anna said. If I commit to partnership, you need to promise me something. Name it, Max said. Promise me that when I tell you I need space, you'll give it to me. Promise me that when I say I'm overwhelmed, you'll believe me. Promise me that this partnership means I have the authority to say no, to push back, to disagree with you without fear that you'll terminate the agreement. I promise, Max said without hesitation. Anything else? Promise me you won't regret this, Anna whispered. Promise me that 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, you won't look at me and wish you'd chosen someone easier, someone less complicated, someone who wasn't broken in all the ways I'm broken. Max's hand came up to frame her face with a gentleness that contradicted everything she knew about him. I don't want easier. I don't want uncomplicated. I want you, exactly as you are, broken pieces and sharp edges, and all the defense mechanisms you've built to survive. I want your intelligence, and your honesty, and your ability to call me out when I'm being an idiot. I want your late-night observations and your devastating contract analysis, and your refusal to accept anything at face value. I want you, Anna, all of you, permanently. That's a lot to promise, Anna said. Then watch me keep the promise, Max replied. Anna took a breath, let it out slowly, made the choice that terrified her more than anything she'd ever done. She signed the contract. Her signature looked small on the page, almost insignificant. But the moment the pen left paper, everything changed. She wasn't Anna Gray, survivor, anymore. She wasn't the woman offered as collateral, the unfortunate daughter of a gambling addict, the junior associate who made coffee. She was Anna Gray, partner, equal, chosen. Max took the pen from her hand and signed below her signature, his name bold and certain next to hers. There, done, official, no contingencies. No contingencies, Anna echoed, the words feeling like a promise and a threat simultaneously. Max stood, pulling Anna to her feet with him. For a moment, they just stood there, facing each other, processing what they'd just committed to. Then Max pulled her into his arms with enough force to steal her breath, his embrace less calculated than anything she'd ever seen from him. More desperate, more real. Thank you, he said against her hair. Thank you for choosing me. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for being brave enough to try. Anna's arms came around him automatically, returning the embrace with surprising intensity. Don't make me regret this. I won't, Max promised, or I'll die trying not to. Dramatic, Anna observed, but her voice was unsteady. Honest, Max corrected. They stood like that for a long moment, holding each other, processing the enormity of what they'd just done. Then Max pulled back just enough to look at her face. I need to do something, he said. Something that seals this properly. Something that makes it real. It's already real, Anna said. We signed the contract. Contracts are just paper, Max replied. This needs to be more. And then he kissed her. The kiss was nothing like Anna expected. She'd imagined in the moments when she let herself imagine that Max Harper would kiss with the same calculated precision he applied to everything else. Controlled, strategic, a transaction dressed up as intimacy. She was wrong. Max kissed her like he was drowning, and she was air. Like he'd been holding back for 3 months and finally had permission to stop. Like the signature on that contract had shattered every wall he'd built and left him vulnerable in a way that would have terrified him with anyone else. But not with her. Never with her. Anna's hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer, kissing him back with the same intensity. All the fear, all the analysis, all the careful observation that had defined their relationship burned away in the face of something much more primal: want. She wanted him. Had wanted him for weeks without admitting it. Had been denying the way her heart sped up when he entered a room, the way she looked for excuses to stay in his study late at night, the way his rare smiles made her feel like she'd won something valuable. She'd been falling for Max Harper while pretending she was just analyzing him, and now, with his hands in her hair and his mouth claiming hers, there was no more pretending. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Max rested his forehead against hers. I've wanted to do that since the day you tore apart my West Side contract and called it legally clean but morally questionable. That was week 3, Anna said, her voice unsteady. I know, Max replied. I've been counting. You're very patient, Anna observed. I'm very calculating, Max corrected. I knew if I pushed before you were ready, before you'd chosen me freely, it would ruin everything. So I waited. I hated every second of it, but I waited. Anna pulled back to look at his face, seeing vulnerability there that he'd never shown before. What happens now? Now we figure out what partnership actually looks like, Max said. We negotiate boundaries. We establish routines. We learn how to be partners in every sense, instead of just business associates who occasionally have late-night philosophical discussions over expensive scotch. That sounds domestic, Anna said carefully. That sounds terrifying, Max agreed. I don't know how to do domestic, Anna. I don't know how to share my space, my life, my decisions, with someone who has equal authority. I'm going to be terrible at this. Good, Anna said. I'm going to be terrible at it too. At least we'll be terrible together. Max's laugh was surprised, genuine. Is that your idea of romance? That's my idea of honesty, Anna replied. We're both broken, both calculating, both damaged in ways that probably make us terrible candidates for partnership. But maybe being terrible together is better than being perfect alone. That's actually profound, Max observed. Don't sound so surprised, Anna said. I'm very smart. It's literally why you wanted me. It's one of many reasons, Max corrected. He pulled her closer again, his arms wrapping around her waist. Should we discuss sleeping arrangements? The contract specifies shared living space, but was deliberately vague about the specifics. Because you didn't want to pressure me, Anna guessed. Because I didn't want you to feel like signing the contract meant automatic access to your bed, Max said. What happens between us physically is separate from the business partnership. Related, but separate. Anna processed this, her analytical mind appreciating the distinction. So what are you proposing? That we figure it out as we go, Max said. My room has a sitting area that could be converted to a second bedroom if you want your own space. Or you could stay in the guest suite. Or... He stopped, jaw clenching. Or you could stay with me, in my bed. As my partner in every sense, if that's what you want. That's a significant escalation from business partnership, Anna observed. That's what the kiss was, Max replied. Escalation, declaration of intent, proof that this partnership isn't just professional, no matter what the contract says. Anna's heart was hammering again. You're asking me to share your bed. I'm asking if you want to, Max corrected. If you don't, if you need time, if you want to keep things professional until we've established better boundaries, I'll understand. I'll be disappointed, but I'll understand. Anna thought about the past 3 months, about late nights in his study, about breakfast conversations that felt more intimate than any date she'd been on, about the way she'd started thinking of his penthouse as home instead of prison, about how the scariest part of signing that contract wasn't giving up her freedom, it was admitting how much she wanted to stay. I want to stay with you, Anna said. In your room. In your bed, as your partner in every sense. Something in Max's expression cracked relief and desire and vulnerability all at once. "You're sure?" "I'm terrified," Anna admitted. "But I'm sure." "Good," Max said. He pulled her toward the door, not giving her time to second guess, to analyze, to calculate the risks. "Because I'm done waiting. I'm done being patient. I'm done pretending this is just business when we both know it stopped being business the moment you walked into my study at 2 a.m. and told me I was lonely." He led her through the penthouse to his bedroom, a space Anna had seen but never entered, respecting the invisible boundary that separated employer from employee, captor from captive, business from personal. But those boundaries didn't exist anymore. She was his partner now, his equal, his choice, freely made and freely returned. The room was exactly what she expected: minimalist, expensive, sterile, like everything else in Max's life. It was beautiful but empty, functional but soulless. "We're redecorating," Anna said, looking around. "This room has no personality." "It has my personality," Max replied. "Which is apparently no personality." "It has your I don't know how to be human personality," Anna corrected. "We're fixing that. I want color. I want pictures. I want evidence that people actually live here instead of just existing." "Noted," Max said, pulling her closer. "Any other demands?" "Several," Anna replied. "But they can wait. Right now, I want—" Max kissed her again, cutting off words with action. This kiss was different from the first, less desperate, more deliberate. A promise instead of a plea. A claiming instead of a question. Anna kissed him back with equal intensity, her hands finding the buttons of his shirt, needing less barrier between them. Max's hands found the zipper of her dress, sliding it down with careful precision. "Last chance to change your mind," Max said against her mouth. "Last chance to say this is moving too fast. We should wait. We should establish boundaries first." "Stop giving me exits," Anna replied, pushing his shirt off his shoulders. "Stop offering me chances to leave. I signed the contract, Max. I committed. Now follow through." Max's laugh was dark, approving, demanding. "I like it." "You like that I'm not afraid of you anymore," Anna corrected. "I like that you were never actually afraid of me," Max replied. "You were afraid of wanting me. There's a difference." He was right. Anna had spent 3 months pretending she was observing Max clinically, analytically, looking for flaws and exit strategies, but really, she'd been falling for him while telling herself it was just survival strategy. No more pretending, no more analyzing, no more calculating the risks, just choice, just commitment, just two broken people deciding that being broken together was better than being whole alone. Max's hands were careful despite the intensity in his eyes, giving Anna time to adjust, to accept, to fully commit to what they were doing. "Tell me if I'm going too fast. Tell me if you need to stop. Tell me." "Max," Anna interrupted. "Stop asking permission and just—" He kissed her again, pulling her against him with enough force to eliminate any doubt about his intentions. "Finish that sentence." "Just love me," Anna whispered. "Catastrophically, completely. The way you promised. No contingencies." "No contingencies," Max agreed. And then there were no more words. Just touch, just heat, just the shocking realization that Max Harper controlled, calculating, cold Max Harper loved catastrophically, in a way that made Anna feel precious and claimed and absolutely certain that signing that contract was the best decision she'd ever made. Later, hours later, they lay tangled in sheets that felt different now, weighted with significance that changed everything. Max's hand traced patterns on Anna's spine, possessive even in the aftermath. "I have a confession," Max said quietly. "What?" Anna asked against his chest. "I wrote that contract 3 weeks ago," Max admitted. "I've been carrying it around, waiting for the right moment to give it to you. Waiting until I was sure you'd say yes." Anna pulled back to look at his face. 3 weeks? That was before my father showed up. Before the threats. Before I had any external reason to accelerate our timeline, Max finished. "I wrote it because I wanted to. Because I'd already decided you were worth partnership. Because I was tired of pretending this was temporary." "You could have asked me 3 weeks ago," Anna said. "You would have said no 3 weeks ago," Max replied. "You weren't ready. You were still looking for exit strategies, still analyzing me like a problem to solve, still convinced I had some hidden exploitation waiting to spring." "I was protecting myself," Anna said. "I know," Max replied. "That's why I waited. I needed you to feel safe enough to stop protecting yourself. Safe enough to choose me freely, instead of out of fear or obligation." Anna processed this, her analytical mind clicking through implications. You manipulated the timing. I optimized the timing, Max corrected. There's a difference. Not really, Anna said, but she was smiling. You're not angry, Max observed. I'm relieved, Anna admitted. Because it means you actually thought about this, actually planned for partnership instead of just reacting to circumstance. That's reassuring. Actually, most people would find it controlling, Max pointed out. Most people aren't me, Anna replied. I find your calculated approach to relationship building strangely comforting. At least I know you're serious. Max pulled her closer, his arms wrapping around her with familiar strength. I'm completely serious. About you. About us. About building something permanent. This isn't a phase, Anna. This isn't me trying something new and exciting that I'll get bored with in 6 months. This is me committing fully to the first person I've ever met who's worth committing to. No pressure, Anna said dryly. Massive pressure, Max agreed. But you can handle it. You can handle me. That's why this works. Anna was quiet for a moment, processing everything that had happened in the past 72 hours. The contract, the decision, the kiss, the commitment, the shocking realization that she'd just bound herself permanently to a man she'd known for 3 months and somehow it felt exactly right. Max? Anna said quietly. Yes? Thank you, Anna said. For seeing me, for valuing me, for offering me partnership instead of just employment, for being patient while I figured out what I wanted, for loving you? Max finished. You haven't said that yet, Anna observed. I signed a 43-page contract offering you everything I've built over 15 years, Max replied. I kissed you like I was drowning. I just spent the last 3 hours proving exactly how much you mean to me. Do I really need to say the words? Yes, Anna said. I need to hear them. Max was quiet for a long moment. Then, I love you, Anna Gray. I love your intelligence and your honesty and your ability to tell me when I'm being an idiot. I love the way you observe everything. The way you find flaws in contracts I thought were perfect. The way you challenged me from day one instead of being intimidated. I love that you're broken in ways that fit with how I'm broken. I love that you chose me even though it terrified you. I love you, catastrophically, completely, permanently. No contingencies. Anna's throat was tight. That's very eloquent for someone who claims not to be romantic. I'm motivated, Max replied. Now say it back. I love you too, Anna said. Even though you bought me as collateral, and I should probably hate you. Even though you're controlling and calculating and terrible at being human. Even though this entire situation is completely insane, and we're probably both going to regret this eventually. I love you, Max Harper. Catastrophically, completely, permanently. Good, Max said. He pulled her against his chest with enough force to steal her breath. Because you're mine now. Officially, contractually, permanently, and I don't share. Possessive much? Anna asked. Catastrophically, Max agreed. But you knew that when you signed the contract. I did, Anna admitted. And I signed it anyway. What does that say about me? That you're exactly as broken as I am, Max replied. And that's perfect. They fell silent, holding each other, processing the enormity of what they'd committed to. Partnership, love, permanence, all the things Anna had been afraid to want, wrapped up in a 43-page contract and sealed with a kiss. It should have felt like a cage, should have felt like giving up her freedom for security. Instead, it felt like the first time she'd been brave enough to choose what she actually wanted, instead of just surviving what she was given. And that was worth every risk. 3 months after signing the partnership agreement, Anna stood in the primary bedroom of Max's penthouse. Their penthouse. She corrected herself mentally and realized something that would have terrified her 6 months ago. She was happy, not content, not surviving, not making the best of bad circumstances. Actually, genuinely happy. The room looked different now. Anna had followed through on her threat to redecorate, bringing color and warmth into a space that had been sterile and empty. Photographs lined the dresser, her law school graduation. Max at some charity gala looking uncomfortable in a tux. A candid shot Cooper had taken of them reviewing contracts in Max's study, both arguing about some clause, both smiling despite the disagreement. The walls held art that Anna had chosen, still expensive, still valuable, but selected because she liked it, rather than because some decorator said it was appropriate. Books filled the previously empty shelves. Her clothes hung beside Max's in the walk-in closet, evidence everywhere that 2 people actually lived here instead of just existing. You're thinking very loudly, Max said from the doorway. Anna turned to find him watching her with that intense focus that no longer frightened her, that somewhere along the way had become familiar, even comforting. He'd loosened his tie, rolled his sleeves to his elbows, clearly just returned from whatever meeting had kept him downtown all afternoon. I'm thinking about how much has changed, Anna said. Having regrets? Max asked, his tone careful. Having revelations, Anna corrected. She crossed the room to him, straightening his already straight collar in a gesture that had become habitual. I'm happy, Max. Actually happy. And I'm trying to figure out when that happened. When did it happen? Max asked, his hands settling on her waist. I don't know, Anna admitted. Somewhere between reviewing the Sanderson contract and arguing with you about the ethics of the development deal. Somewhere between reorganizing your filing system and convincing your chef to teach me how to make proper pasta. Somewhere between surviving and actually living. I just woke up this morning and realized I wasn't counting down time until the partnership agreement ends. I was planning next year's projects, planning our future. Planning like this is permanent. It is permanent, Max reminded her. You signed a contract. Contracts can be terminated, Anna said. But I don't want to terminate this one. That's what scares me. I don't want an exit anymore. I just want this. You. Us. This life we've built where I review your contracts and tell you when you're being an idiot and occasionally beat you at chess. Occasionally? Max challenged. You've won twice. Out of 12 games, Anna replied. I'm counting it as victory. You're counting it wrong, Max said. But he was smiling one of those rare, genuine smiles that made Anna feel like she'd won something valuable. They'd established routines over the past 3 months. Breakfast together at 8 a.m. when schedules allowed. Late nights in Max's study reviewing contracts. Anna finding flaws and Max listening to her analysis with genuine respect. Weekends where Max taught Anna about his business and Anna taught Max about being human, how to have conversations without agendas, how to enjoy things without calculating their value, how to exist in moments instead of always planning 3 moves ahead. It wasn't perfect. They fought about ethics regularly, Anna drawing lines Max wanted to blur, Max pushing boundaries Anna wanted to maintain. They had completely different organizational systems. Anna's meticulous filing versus Max's organized chaos. They disagreed about everything from appropriate business casual to whether modern art was actually art, but they also fit. In ways that Anna hadn't expected. In ways that made all the disagreements feel like collaboration instead of conflict. I have something for you, Max said, pulling a folder from his briefcase. Anna groaned. Not another contract. We've reviewed 17 this week. I'm contractually exhausted. Not a business contract, Max said, handing it to her. A personal one. Anna opened the folder, her analytical eye immediately catching the title. Partnership Amendment. Permanent Status Modification. She read quickly, her heart hammering as she processed the terms. You're removing the end date. I'm making permanent actually permanent, Max corrected. The original agreement had an 18-month review clause. This amendment removes it. No end date. No renegotiation timeline. No option to terminate except through mutual agreement. That's a significant commitment, Anna said carefully. That's the point, Max replied. I don't want you waking up 6 months from now, wondering if I'm going to decide this was a mistake. I don't want you planning exit strategies, because you're not sure if permanent actually means permanent. I want you to know absolutely, unequivocally, without doubt that I'm all in. Forever. No contingencies. Anna read the amendment carefully, finding the changes. You're increasing my equity to 40%. You've earned it, Max said. Your contract analysis alone has saved me millions. Your ethics oversight has prevented 3 deals that would have been legal nightmares. Your partnership has made my business more profitable and more sustainable than it's ever been. You're worth 40%. This makes me almost an equal partner, Anna observed. This makes you an equal partner with path to majority if you want it, Max corrected. Clause 7 specifies that if you want to pursue additional equity, I'll sell you shares at below market rate. You could own 51% of everything within 5 years if you wanted. Anna stared at him. You'd give me majority control? I'd give you the option to take majority control if that's what you wanted, Max clarified. I don't need to be in control, Anna. I need a partner I trust. And I trust you more than I trust myself. That's a lot of trust, Anna said. You've earned it, Max replied. Every day for 3 months you've earned it. So sign the amendment. Make this permanent. Stop looking for exits and commit fully to building something that actually matters. Anna looked at the amendment, at the terms that gave her everything she could possibly want. Equity, authority, security, partnership with a man who valued her properly. No exploitation, no hidden agendas, just genuine commitment from someone who loved her catastrophically. She should review it carefully. Should take 72 hours. Should have her attorney examine every clause. Instead, she picked up the pen and signed immediately. No review period? Max asked, surprise evident in his voice. I don't need one, Anna said. I trust you. I trust us. I trust that you're not hiding some exploitation in Clause 17 or burying bad terms in the appendices. I trust that this amendment is exactly what it appears to be, you committing to permanence. Max took the pen and signed below her signature, his name bold and certain next to hers. There, done, official, permanent. No end date, no contingencies. No contingencies, Anna agreed. Max pulled her against his chest with familiar strength. I love you. I know I don't say it often enough. I know I'm better at showing it through contracts and equity and giving you authority than through words. But I love you, Anna. You're the best acquisition I've ever made. I'm not an acquisition anymore, Anna reminded him. No, Max agreed. You're my partner, my equal, the person who makes my life make sense. The reward I earned for finally figuring out that success without connection was just expensive isolation. Anna pulled back to look at his face, seeing vulnerability there that he rarely showed. You know what I realized today? What? That I was wrong about you, Anna said. When I stood in that corner watching you claim me as collateral, I thought I was observing a predator. I thought I was calculating how to survive the most dangerous man I'd ever met, but I wasn't observing a predator. I was observing a man who'd forgotten how to be human, who'd built everything he wanted and realized it wasn't enough, who was desperate for connection but didn't know how to ask for it. That's a generous interpretation, Max said. That's an honest interpretation, Anna corrected. You're not a villain, Max. You're just broken in ways that made sense for survival but made you lonely. And somehow, I'm broken in ways that fit with your broken. We're broken together, and that's perfect. That's very profound for 6 p.m. on a Thursday, Max observed. That's very honest for any time, Anna replied. I love you, Max Harper. I love that you see my value. I love that you challenge me. I love that you're terrible at being romantic but excellent at showing love through contracts and equity and trusting me with authority you don't have to give. I love that you're possessive and calculating and absolutely certain about us. I love you. Catastrophically, completely, permanently. Max kissed her with the intensity that had become familiar over 3 months, desperate and claiming and absolutely certain. When he pulled back, his eyes held something Anna had learned to recognize. Determination. Come with me, Max said. I want to show you something. He led her through the penthouse to a room Anna had never entered, the private wing that Max had always kept locked. He opened the door now, revealing a space that made Anna's breath catch. It was an office, but not just any office. It was her office, designed specifically for her. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves for her law texts, a massive desk, positioned by windows overlooking the city, filing systems organized exactly the way Anna preferred, art she'd mentioned liking, a coffee station with her preferred beans, every detail perfect, every element chosen specifically for her. When did you do this? Anna asked. I started 3 weeks after you moved in, Max admitted. When I realized you were going to stay. When I realized I wanted you to stay. I've been working on it for months, waiting for the right moment to show you. This must have cost a fortune, Anna said. Worth every cent, Max replied. You're my partner, Anna, which means you need your own space, your own authority, your own domain that's separate from mine but equal to it. This is yours, to work in, to claim, to make your own. Anna walked through the space, touching the desk, examining the bookshelves, processing what Max had done. You built me an empire. I built you a kingdom, Max corrected. Because you're not my subordinate. You're my equal. And equals need their own kingdoms. Anna turned to face him. This man who'd bought her as collateral and somehow given her more freedom and authority and value than anyone in her life. I don't know what to say. Say you'll stay, Max replied. Say this is permanent. Say you're all in. No contingencies, no exit strategies, no secret plans to leave when things get difficult. Say you're mine and I'm yours and we're building something together that matters more than any business deal I've ever closed. I'll stay, Anna said. I'm all in. No contingencies. Good, Max said. He pulled her into his arms, holding her with the possessive strength she'd learned to crave. Because you're the reward I earned for finally figuring out what actually matters. Not money, not power, not empire building. You, us, partnership with someone who's strong enough to challenge me and smart enough to keep me honest. That's very romantic, Anna observed. That's very true, Max corrected. They stood in her new office, her kingdom, as Max called it, holding each other, processing the enormity of what they'd built together. Not just business partnership, not just romantic relationship, but something more complicated and more valuable. Genuine connection between two broken people who decided that being broken together was better than being whole alone. You know what the irony is? Anna said. What? My father thought he was destroying me when he offered me as collateral, Anna said. He thought he was sacrificing me to save himself. But really, he gave me the greatest gift of my life. He put me in the path of the only person who's ever seen my actual value. Your father's an idiot, Max said. My father's a cautionary tale, Anna corrected. About what happens when you let addiction destroy everything. About how trying to save someone who doesn't want to be saved only destroys you. About how sometimes the greatest kindness is walking away. Have you heard from him? Max asked. No, Anna said. And I hope I never do. That chapter of my life is closed. I'm writing new chapters now. Better chapters. Chapters where I'm the protagonist instead of the unfortunate supporting character in someone else's tragedy. Very literary, Max observed. Very true, Anna replied, echoing his words. Max's phone buzzed. He checked it. Expression hardening. I need to take this. Business emergency. 15 minutes. Then I'm all yours. Go, Anna said. I'll be here. Exploring my kingdom. Max kissed her once more, quick, possessive, claiming then left to handle whatever crisis required his attention. Anna stood alone in her new office, her kingdom, looking out over the city she'd once viewed as a prison and now saw as possibility. 6 months ago, she'd been standing in a corner, watching her father destroy her life. Now she was standing in an office designed specifically for her, holding a partnership agreement that made her an equal in an empire worth hundreds of millions, loved by a man who valued her properly. It wasn't the life she'd planned. Wasn't the future she'd imagined when she graduated law school with dreams of making partner at a prestigious firm. It was better, because she wasn't surviving anymore. She was winning. Winning at life, at business, at love. Winning at the game she'd been forced to play when her father offered her as collateral. And the greatest victory? She'd made Max Harper win too. Had taken a lonely, calculating businessman who'd forgotten how to be human and taught him that connection was worth more than control. That partnership was more valuable than possession. That love, real, chosen, catastrophic love, was the only currency that actually mattered. Anna Gray wasn't collateral anymore. She was a partner, an equal. A woman who'd been bought as debt payment and turned it into the greatest negotiation of her life. And that was worth every risk she'd taken, every fear she'd faced, every moment of vulnerability she'd survived. She'd found the fatal flaw in Max Harper's life, his loneliness, and she'd filled it with something neither of them had seen coming. Love. Catastrophic, complete, permanent love. No contingencies. The end.